Hello and welcome to Taking Over. I am OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by my tag team partner, the one and only, the natural. All hail Queen Astrid. Astrid, how you doing tonight?
Doing better because that was a good episode of NXT and I put in the right direction. Woohoo! After 2 years, I got it.
After 2 years, it only took almost 2 long years of working together, but you finally
Wait, I'm not gonna forget now. How are you doing?
next week she's gonna screw it up. I'm all right. So this episode of NXT, I went and got a prop for this while I got my water. This week's episode of NXT felt like a bit like a quote from Forrest Gump. This NXT was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And
That's
this
very
week's
true.
episode was that in a bad way. Because this episode went from, hey, this is really cool, to that was pretty shit, to this is really great, to what the fuck was that?
Emotional damage. It was a roller coaster.
No, it wasn't even as bad as emotional damage because I'm used to it at this
No.
point. I was just expecting more after last week.
Yeah.
I have to cut my hair. My hair is not going well with the thing. Oh well. Anyways,
I don't have to
yes.
deal with that.
Thank you for In the Hot Seat podcast for joining us. Tony D'Angelo is free. I mean, I
It's
wouldn't have to
free.
either. I wouldn't have to either if I chose to use the in-ear headphones that I'm supposed to use. But we're going to talk a little bit about Tony being free and what I have to see on next week's episode if Tony D'Angelo is freed.
What are we
But
gonna see?
we'll talk about that later. But first,
Okay.
we're going to go ahead and start where the show started with no NXT intro, no nothing. Just boom, right into the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's cool. I like that. Now, maybe this is a hot take. I like the Judgment Day group music a lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that Metalingus Judgment Day theme. I know some people don't like it. I think it's great. I like also how everybody has a different version
Yeah, me too.
of that Metalingus theme. My
Mm-hmm.
buddy Rob saying the disappointment. We'll get to your disappointment. Well, my disappointment in your favorite wrestler in a minute. But we get Judgment Day coming in, and they start the show, and it's great. They're loud for everybody. They're chanting "Mommy." They're chanting "Welcome back." She's all excited. You can see the big ass smile on her face,
Mm-hmm.
and the crowd cheered loud for everybody, except any time they wanted to talk about Dominic Mysterio. Now, I get how that happens when you have 10,000 people in an arena. When you have 150, 200 people max in this little itty bitty room, I was afraid we were going to lose that. Nope. This crowd was ready for Judgment Day and everything that it entailed.
Yeah.
Finn says, this is the house that I built, and I've come back to lay down some house rules. Damian Priest starts talking about how he's been here and how Judgment Day is now back to run the show. And then they start to talk about Dom, and the crowd shits all over it. They want nothing to do with talking about Dom, which is great. Rhea gets on the mic and starts telling people to quiet down and listen to Dom Dom. And Dom Dom starts to talk, and out comes Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. And they want to make a joke about Dom Dom dropping the soap, and that's why they call himself Dirty Dom, which I thought was great. But they don't. They go on a really basic, which I'm really upset about, a very generic back and forth. You have three of the best talk. Well, okay, you had it right the first time. Between Trick, Melo, and Finn, you have three of the best talkers on the mic, and then you have Damian. Like, I love Damian, but the mic is not his best friend. Let's be honest. He is. The microphone is not always.
Be careful, my man. Be careful.
Tell me I'm wrong. Is the
You're
microphone always Damian's best friend?
No, he's like 90%. That's not 100.
He's about 80%.
No.
He's about 80%. But between the three of them, with Trick, Melo, and Finn, you thought there'd be better back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good segment. It did what it needed to do. But I was a little disappointed. I was also a little disappointed it was so short. The whole segment took about 5 minutes.
It felt that way.
And I'm going to tell you, there's a whole bunch of segments you could have cut from this show. There's a whole bunch of segments. And for once, they're not all women's segments. I'll be honest. There are segments on this show I would have cut that weren't women's segments. What did you think of this opening promo?
Yeah, I was excited because I'm thinking it was Judgment Day. That's cool. I like seeing them, and I like how there's such a focal point of Raw. So I figured this is gonna translate over to NXT as well. And then I feel like you said like the promo just felt like flat to me in that sense. It just like I was hoping for more, and I'm like I feel like nothing really was said to be honest. And my notes I just put JD opens because I literally had nothing to like pinpoint here, and it felt like it was so short and it ended so quickly. I wonder if something did happen there or they made some changes to it and they were just not prepared for them. I don't know, but it felt like it wasn't complete. It just felt like it ended, and I was like, oh, that was it.
Yeah,
I knew that we're gonna build up to the match as the main event, but I feel like between the start and that being like the announcement, basically, I feel like the middle was definitely lacking in there in between there. So I just thought that was the only part that I was just like, it was okay, but it is what it is.
yeah, you bring down Judgment Day. You have them in the ring. You've got them here. Why not utilize them? Really, really dig into this. Cut that great promo. They don't. It is what it is. We then get the first of the cuttable segments, which is Mackenzie Mitchell backstage with Tony D'Angelo on a Skype call,
Yeah.
where Tony D'Angelo is continuing to, hello, Dar Amazing. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. He's continuing to sell this whole he has no idea what's going on. He says that he's at Stax's mercy, which prompts her to say, are you and Stax not on the same page? What's going wrong? Do you not have any faith in him? And he goes, I don't even know this kid anymore. And I'm like, something
Dun, dun,
smells
dun.
something smells fishy here.
Very fishy.
Something smelled fishy there. But again, a segment that could have been cut. A segment I didn't need to see.
Mhm.
We then get Andre Chase and Duke of Chase versus Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey. Now, we also had, just before this, one of the best Gigi Dolan promos since she went single. This was
Yeah.
really great. She says Kiana James is holding everything in. That I'm
Mhm.
the person that Kiana James wishes she could still be, but she's changed. She shows old photos of Kiana James from her social media, which I thought was fantastic.
Yes,
Oh,
I think it's definitely good to add that.
did one of them look like it was a photo that they took like a week ago and just pretended like she was like 10 years younger or something?
Yeah. I think
Like,
they just put the outfit they're trying to make her look younger because she doesn't have like usual like business attire she usually has.
yeah,
So yeah.
I swear, like a couple of those photos looked like they were 3, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
And there's that one that looks like it was just done last week in different clothes. And I'm like, hmm.
Yeah.
But overall, I like this. I really like this promo because for once, it seemed like she was on the same page and that everything sort of
Mhm.
made sense for once.
Yeah.
Um, just really good and interesting stuff going on here. What about you?
Yeah, this and Corbin's, which we're talking just a little bit, were definitely like my favorite two like promos that we got tonight because I feel like she said so many great things on this. And it just kind of at the same time made me upset thinking if this was in person, it wouldn't have been the same. That's just what I kept thinking because of how it's been with her the last couple of weeks. I was like, I'm glad this was pre-recorded because it made her sound a lot better, and it didn't sound like too rehearsed or anything like that. I love how she puts like, I don't let like my demons keep me from being me, and she's like, Kiana spends her energy holding everything in. She's afraid of who she is. Um, and she's like, "Oh, you dislike me because I'm the part of you you wish you could still be." And I'm like, at the same time, it just makes me laugh because she shows the pictures. It makes it look like Kiana's party, and I was like, "Do you miss partying, Gigi? Is that why you're trying to tell us too?" On top of it, um, and I love how she goes, "I gave it a fresh coat of paint." I was gonna say, "What paint? The one we didn't see last week?"
Yeah, yeah. I loved her. She was like, yeah, Gigi gave me a fresh coat of paint, so I went ahead and redecorated her office. And I'm like, I'm glad you used the word redecorated because you
Yeah.
sure as hell didn't paint the office like you tried to tell us you were
No.
going to with the wet paint thing.
And like I like moments that she says, tear down the hypocritical walls that you're while you're at it. And she's like the one thing that separates us. And she's like, I embrace who I am while you're living a lie. And I love how like when after that, not a couple seconds right after you see Kiana backstage looking at her phone's like, how did she get that? I'm gonna go on Instagram, archive, delete, and
Delete.
then you can see the girls in the background. I know at least I noticed Danny and Tatum and Brooklyn, and they were looking at her. She's like, "What are you guys looking at? I don't know where she got that from." And then she just leaves. And I love being able to see her reaction right there and then, because then it shows how she freaked out knowing that Gigi is able to show this past life that Kiana had basically, and like her being like archive. It just I loved it. I really love her reaction, seeing it right there and then. But it was wonderfully done, that whole part of it.
It made a feud I didn't want to see more of make me at least want to see one more match. Oh god. We then get the match between Adrian and Duke and Gulak and Dempsey, and all right, this match underdelivered. I'll just come out and say it. It underdelivered. There was so much going into this, and it didn't do anything. It
No.
didn't. It didn't help that Tia Hale put the worst. I keep saying this every week, and I'm going to continue to say it. The worst looking Kimura lock in the history of the world on Drew Gulak. Like, it literally looked like she's just holding his arm behind his back. It didn't look like she was pulling at all. It didn't look like he was in any pain. And he
Mhm.
falls to the ground. And
The only thing that you could see was that she put her weight obviously jumping on him. It's more weight to him, and that's why he's going down more than the lock itself.
yeah,
But I thought it was, but I like the detailing of like, you taught me the move, but I'm gonna give it on to you now, so you lose the match. I love that, like that part of the story in itself. But I
she
feel like
needs to
this
make it look
match,
better. She needs to make that
yeah,
Kimura
she
look
really
better.
does. I feel like the only thing that made me think about this was it says if this would have been at the Great American Bash, I feel like it would have had more time and like more kind of detail going into it, and I feel like it would have been better. I would have made it that for some reason this would have ended some sort of DQ or anything like that to make the guys go, "Oh, we want the rematch at the Great American Bash," because I feel like it deserves a good spotlight after everything that's happened, and at least they will give it this decent time because it's something I feel like they didn't get a lot today, and I feel like that would have made it better to like expand on it.
Yeah, honestly, Tia needs to learn from. Now, let's. I'm not comparing Tia Hale to Brock Lesnar. I'm just saying there are women who put on submission holds that are strong and capable submission holds. And then there's Tia Hale doing a Kimura lock. Like, I don't like her, but look at Ronda Rousey. Every time she puts on a submission hold, it looks like she's going to tear you limb from limb. When Becky Lynch puts on the worst submission in the history of WWE, which is the disarmer, it looks like she's trying to tear your arm out. When Shayna Baszler puts on a submission, when Asuka puts on the Asuka lock, those things look like they're serious moves. When Tia Hale puts on a Kimura, it looks like she's holding your hand behind your back.
Yeah,
Weird idea. Chase U versus. I think that's where we're headed, Dara. I
yeah,
agree with you. It's not so much a weird idea. I honestly think that's where we're headed,
yeah.
which is kind of unfortunate. The only other
But I
idea,
wouldn't.
the
Yeah, I
only other
wouldn't do the Great
idea,
American Bash though.
I think we're getting based on the way tonight's show played out. I think we're getting the
Yeah.
rematch for Tia at Great American Bash,
Yeah,
and I
that's what I'm
pray this
thinking.
is the one where she just loses clean.
Yep.
Like
Agreed.
they need to just have her lose clean and be done with it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, cool, we got this whole she's you know gonna potentially win. Oh, she's the uncrowned champion, and as you saw the short earlier today, all the uncrowned champion means is she's not the champion.
Yeah.
Um, but again, I could have cut this. I really didn't need this on the
Mm-hmm.
show. I could have either cut time from it or just cut it all together. The best part of this is that we see Bronco, Nima, and Lucien Prince up in the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah.
They don't show them to us. Like they don't zoom in on them like they do everybody else who's ever in the Eagle's Nest. But they mention that they're there, and you see them in the
Mm-hmm.
background of a bunch of shots. And they stayed for most of the rest of this match, which is
Pretty
unusual
much.
because normally they pop in, you see them, and then they leave.
And leave, yeah.
I was surprised 5 minutes later that I still saw them standing in the back corner. Dara says a submission match. I think that's where we're headed. I think we're
Yeah.
headed to Tia versus Tiffany in a submission match. Either that or it's going to be a cage match, one of the two. I can
Yeah.
very. Oh, no, me and Parrish are not anything like uh in the Hot Seat podcast. I feel like Dempsey and Gulak are part of Chase Shoe, so that was a little confusing. No, I think they were always. So the way I look at Gulak and Dempsey is they were always trying to take over Chase Shoe.
Mhm.
They were trying to
Yeah.
supersede Andre Chase and make it Gulak's catch point.
Mhm.
I feel like they just need to call it catch point at some point. Like,
Yeah.
you bought Evolve, just call it catch point. You
Mhm.
own the company, you own the rights, just call it out. Because I think if they had him calling it Catch Point University, and you go ahead and say,
Yeah.
but if you call it Catch Point University or something like that,
Yeah.
you have Alpha Academy, you have Catch Point University, you have all of these. You can go ahead and just bring up, oh, I taught Matt Riddle how to wrestle. Because when Matt Riddle came on the indie
Mhm.
scene, he came to Evolve and he was paired with Gulak and Catchpoint. And I think you could bring up something like that. Um, I'm obligated to show this that Chris
I, I
Parrish,
I was waiting for that comment. I knew he was gonna come in there and say that.
I am crowned Wrestle. Yeah, you won season 1 of Wrestle Champ. Good job. You won Wrestle Draft season 1. Moving on. Uh, good idea. More classic WWE. Like I think everybody is enamored with. They want to see Alpha Academy versus Chase at this point. Like we have
Yeah.
to see it. Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
But moving on, we have another great Von Wagner segment here. I can't I can't believe how much has changed in 2 months. Where I'm now talking about another great Von Wagner situation, but it was. Vaughn says that he got a little carried away last week, but Javi was saying all the things that all the kids in schools used to say,
Mhm.
to which I editorialize and go, kids suck. Um,
Mhm.
they said I was a monster, so I decided to become that. I came to NXT and I was the monster I thought everybody wanted me to be. But last week when I had the crowd cheering for me, I didn't know what to do. But it felt
Mhm.
right and it felt like I was being myself for the first time in a long time. And then I forget the exact adjectives. I know annoying and aggravating were two of them, but there's a third one that I can't remember. He's like, it's all because of your annoying, aggravating ass that I am like this. And he just walks off.
Ah,
It was great.
yeah, yeah, I was like, this is exactly what we wanted it to be. I think it wasn't last week. I think the week before that, if I'm not mistaken. There was one promo that he had with Stone, uh, and we're like, yeah, this wasn't the same as the one that they had, like kind of like one on one, like this one. And I'm glad they went back to this sort of thing. And I like the part of he's like, oh, if they think I'm a monster, that's what I'm gonna be. And then Stone goes, oh, to be accepted. He goes, no, to like make it through life.
Yeah.
And I like how he like goes, that back and forth he has about who he is now, and like considering him a monster, like the way that people reacted to him, and going back to his past life and how he was as a child. I was like, this is exactly how it should be. Keep it going. And I love that part of like him even like reflecting back on the crowd and saying, like, you know, the crowd and they were like kind of cheering for me and they were like accepting me, and like thinking of like how he mentions that. I really like that detail in there as well.
Yeah, I like that they're going ahead and he's acknowledging that it's
Yeah.
unusual that the crowd's cheering for him. He's acknowledging that he doesn't understand acceptance and love. And it's a nice little addition to his character.
Mhm.
Um, we get something I wouldn't have cut. I didn't like this, but I wouldn't have cut it. We
Yeah.
get Kalani Jordan versus Cora Jade. Um, this felt clunky. This felt like somebody who's green trying to lead somebody who's much greener than them. I mean, Kalani did good. She did all right. It's about a 1-star match, maybe 2, maybe. I mean, you're not jumping down my throat. You're laughing, so I'm assuming you're agreeing with me in
No,
what I say.
I mean, I like Kalani and I like her performances, and I've seen like clips of her in the live events too. And so far, I like how she wrestles and her style. But I just like I think the pairing of her and Cora, I'm like, I haven't been liking Cora's gimmick, like the mean girl thing. It hasn't been it. And then thinking back of like Cora herself isn't great in the ring, so it's like I wouldn't have paired her up with Kalani to begin with. I would have paired Kalani up with somebody that's been a little bit there a little bit longer and kind of knows more. Um, it wasn't bad though. I feel like it wasn't bad. It's just like it's something I wasn't interested in just because of like the Cora part. Because I'm enjoying Kalani so far. But I'm like at a point of like this is gonna sound terrible, but I'm like, is this the way that we get Cora's face turn? Because I'm at a point that she's like thinking back and they keep mentioning the part of like the mentor, and even at the end when he grabs a candlestick to hit Kalani, Dana comes in to defend Kalani, and then they keep mentioning a part like the mentor, and then Cora runs away from Dana. But they keep mentioning that part of like, yeah, she keeps saying she doesn't need a mentor. I was like, are we either gonna get Cora with a mentor sometime soon, or she's gonna think of like, I want Dana as my mentor eventually? But I'm like, I want it just because I want her to get away from the mean girl gimmick that it's not working. And I want her to do something different. And I'm hoping this will be what she needs to like kind of renew our hopes in her as a performer, to say it like that. So that's what I'm hoping it kind of turns to. But yeah, it's the core part that I was like, no, I don't want this.
Parrish coming in. I thought Cora was a face, and she hates Dana Brooke too.
Ay, ay,
Um, so Dana Brooke. Speaking of the Dana Brooke of it all, her shorts were the most distracting, awful thing I've ever seen in the world. What the hell was hanging out of the bottom of her shorts?
I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like the best way I can describe it. They kind of feel like tassels, kind of like that.
I
Because
thought they
she had
were
something similar last week.
pockets. I thought they were pockets. I'm like, I don't understand what these are. Why are they on shorts? Why are they coming like halfway? Like she has short Daisy Dukes on,
Yeah,
but there's like something coming out like on her thighs, and I'm like, I don't like this.
yeah.
No, fair play. Tell the internet. We get Eddie, and we get a recap of the NXT Underground match.
Mhm.
And then we get Eddie and Gable outside, and Gable's asked about what he's going to be doing in his future. To which he says, "Well, there's national titles, there's the Olympics, but I really like this whole WWE thing. Yeah, I'd really like this whole WWE thing too if I was paid as much money as you were to show up 3 times and not actually ever wrestle." Like, never once actually wrestle. By the way, for those who don't know, Gable's gone again. He's not going to be back for a while because he's gone and taking time off again. Dude, I
Mhm.
feel like this is what CM Punk would have looked like if he would have been able to come back to WWE. And if for anybody who doesn't know what that means, there's the Mike Johnson Starcast interview where CM Punk is told that wrestlers can now take time off. Because one of the biggest reasons why CM Punk left was that he couldn't get time off. Like he needed time off to recover from a couple injuries. He wasn't feeling well. And one of the things that he claimed was that WWE would run you ragged to the point where you would break down and you could never get time off. So they're talking in the Starcast interview. It is right before he really, really gets serious about going to AEW. And Mike Johnson's like, yeah, WWE guys get time off now. Finn Balor just took off 2 months to go get married. Seth Rollins took off a month and a half ago for the birth of his kid. And Punk's just like dumbfounded, like, and for the rest of the interview, Punk's like, so you can ask for time off now, huh? And I'm just like, yeah, this seems like something that would be like CM Punk. He'd come back for like a week and then be gone for 6 months. And then come back for a week. Like, just get rid of him. Just get rid of Gable Steveson. He's not going to pan out. His brother's better at this than he is anyway.
Waste of a draft pick, to be honest.
Waste of a Raw draft pick. That's great.
I will never forgive them for that.
Didn't you draft him after they drafted him on Raw at one point in Wrestle Draft?
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Well, if I ran out of people, maybe.
Dijak then just comes in as a bunch of the PC recruits are talking about how great the NXT Underground match was, and he goes, "Wait, so y'all think Eddie's the most toughest guy here? Well, screw that." And he walked away. And I'm like, all right, I guess we're getting Eddie versus Dijak coming up. And I'm like, all right, that
Yeah.
I could be down for. Sure.
I kept thinking first, Dijak is alive, good to know. And then second, just like, I was waiting for him to come on screen right after that because I feel like it would have been a good sequence for him to come out and kind of cut a promo on Eddie right after that. So,
Yep.
like, having that sequence of him going from backstage up to, like, the arena. But I was like, oh, he's alive. Good to know, though, because we haven't seen him.
We now get an Ilja Dragunov promo. There was a Braun Breaker promo earlier that I didn't bother mentioning. Neither of these promos were any good. Neither of these promos did anything. It hyped a match that I didn't want to see, that I was going to have to watch. We got some comments in the chat. Darn Amazing. I believe Dijak eats balls of nails without milk. I could see that. I see more underground fights coming. I can see that too. I think it went over really well. I think the response online was good. I think as long as you keep them special, they'll be fine. I don't want to see underground matches every week now.
Mhm.
I want them to be, maybe it's an Eddie Thorpe specialty. Maybe it's a
Okay.
Dijak, Ilja, Eddie Thorpe kind of thing where they get to do these kinds of things.
Mhm.
But like, I don't want to see them every week on the show. That's all I'm saying. I don't need to see them every week.
Mhm.
We get Ilja versus Bron. I'll be honest with you. I would have cut this match too.
Yeah.
I know we can't cut it because we promoted his match heavily. It's a number one
Mhm.
contenders match. I didn't care. I didn't.
It's just the point that I kind of had in my mind already thinking Dragunov is gonna win. This is Braun doesn't need to be in the title match. Braun already has done what he needs to do, so it only made sense for me that Dragunov was gonna win it. But I was like, the only thing that I feel like really caught my attention was that part when Dragunov is about to go towards Braun and Braun just spears him, and it just gives him the holy shit chant towards like the end of it, and then just him countering when Braun is picking him up, he counters it to a DDT, and then he just went not too long after. It was like I was getting ready for my stuff here, so I wasn't paying attention much. Sorry.
Yeah, it was a fine match. There's a lot of good stuff in it. There's a lot of hard hitting and back and forth. Ilja hits the Moscow torpedo, gets a 2 count. Braun hits his spear, gets a 2 count. Um, Ilja finishes it off by hitting that running, jumping, like punch to the face that he falls on top of you for to get the win. But in the latest installment of Ed Hates Everything About Wrestling that Parrish always talks about, the referee in this match, my God, was he distracting and annoying. I couldn't stand him because his 2 counts are the most distracting thing because it's like 1, 2, and then he like throws his whole body when he's counting a near fall. But when he counts 3, it's like 1, 2, 3. But when it's not going to be a 3 count, he like spins his whole body. And go back and watch this match again and
Yeah.
only watch the referee. He like spins his body every time he does it, and it's so annoying, and I can't stand it. Darmazing also popping in with a great thing. NXT Tough Guys, the third hour of NXT. No, because then that means our show's not on until 11 o'clock, and neither an Astrid and I can live with that.
That's true.
We'll have to have the show during NXT Tough Guys if that was the case.
Yeah.
We then get one of the greatest backstage segments I've ever seen in NXT, where Dirty Dom walks up to Wesley while Wesley's having. By the way, Wesley's having a boring promo. Like, I get it. He's like, oh, it's Ali. And this. I couldn't care less about anything he was saying about the Great American Bash. Because Dirty Dom walks up and he's like, hey, he doesn't even know his name. He doesn't know what title he has. He
Yeah.
knows nothing. He's like, hey, you're the open challenge guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wesley's like, well, I mean, I haven't done them in like 4 months because, things got hectic and shit. And he's like, yeah, but you're the guy who does open challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, I haven't done them in a while, but yeah, that's me. Great, I accept. I, I didn't challenge an open challenge anytime. Oh, so you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mommy, look, he's scared. I'm just like, this is fucking great. Oh, Dominic Mysterio, the most punchable face in all of wrestling. But oh, God, he made me laugh.
Yeah, but I still love how West turns it around on him too. He goes, "Well, if you want it tonight, I can just make that happen for you.
Yeah,
Though I'll just go right back." And
yeah.
then he's like, "Oh no, we can make it for next week. It's all right, it's all right." I was like, "Oh gosh, I
You
loved it."
need to prepare. It's okay. Wait till next
Yeah,
week so you can beat me. It's great.
yes.
Like, fine. I mean, I'm excited to see Dirty Dom get his ass kicked. It's fine. But
Mhm.
he was so great. Like, he was just
Yeah.
like the fact that he had no idea who this was, what championship he never mentioned the North American title
Uh-uh.
by name. He never mentioned Wesley by name.
Yeah.
It was the open challenge guy. Dom is the uncrowned unopened challenge champ now. Yeah, pretty much. I love the Judgment Day takeover. All right, so here's the thing. We've talked about how Tony D'Angelo is free. We now know that Dirty Dom is going to be on the show next week.
Oh my
We
god.
have to have Dirty Dom and Tony D'Angelo in a segment together next week. They've both been to prison in kayfabe. We have to have
Yeah.
that. Remember, there's also been the altercation on Twitter where
Yeah.
Dirty Dom, remember? Because Tony D'Angelo tweeted something and Dom tweeted it back. So we have to have that interaction next week. We have to.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I mean, how perfect is it that those two segments just so happen to work?
Yeah.
Well, Dirty Dom was in prison, so it was time to watch NXT. Yeah, he's been out of prison for so long. Like he knew he was in prison before after the open challenge era ended. It's like he should know what's going on. Like I said, it's fine. It's great because he's
It
supposed to
is
be a
funny.
dumb heel. It's great.
Yeah.
We then get Baron Corbin in one of the best segments of the night.
I have to-
Last week I burned my past, but now I'm lost without a compass. This house, this life was all built on the past 8 years. I always said you can't fight fate, but now that's exactly what I'm doing.
Mhm.
But now, who the hell am I? Fantastic work by him.
Mhm.
And great job by WWE for tweeting it out. And then one absolute idiot tweeting nobody cares. To which Baron Corbin goes, "Yeah, but you paid $8 to make sure your 95 followers know that you're verified on Twitter," which was great. And by the
I'll be
way,
like, it's actually 11 because I pay for it.
yeah. And then, but underneath that was even better because underneath the comment that this guy left the first time before Corbin
Mhm.
retweeted it, there's a list of people going, "Then why are you tweeting about it?" Like,
Yeah.
if you're tweeting Baron Corbin back and WWE back saying nobody cares, obviously you cared enough to
You
get
were
on
watching it.
about it.
Yeah, and you were watching it whether it was on the show or online at least too. So
Yeah, just fantastic Baron Corbin promo. I don't know what he's coming back as. I don't know where he ended up. There was a hooded figure, and I'm like,
yeah, a bunch
they're
of
not gonna
torches.
they're not gonna put him with the schism, are they? They're not gonna put him with the schism,
And I
right?
like how he's driving there, but he just stops. I'm like, if I'm literally driving and I see that, I will go the other way and I keep going. I will not stop there.
No, I think that's where he was wanting to go. I think that's where he was headed.
Yeah. You see that are it kind of reminds me of Judgment Day with the hooded figures because of the entrance.
You know,
But I don't know.
Asher, we're gonna let you talk about good female wrestling for a chance. Tiffany versus Ivy Nile.
The only thing I don't want to say I disliked, but I mentioned it to you, so I figured I wanted to know your point of view as a Tiffany Stratton fan more than I am. I felt the only thing I disliked about this match, more mainly I would say, is just I feel like there was a lot of Ivy and not a lot of Tiffany. And just when Tiffany gains the control, she wins. I feel like there was a lot of Ivy like moving around and doing her, her strikes and going for that submission. And then just when you have Tiffany reverse it, she does, the moonsault and then she wins. And even when like when Ivy's getting that momentum, I feel like the only time I ever saw her kind of do something, I know Ivy was trying to do a submission if I'm not mistaken, and she reversed it to a headlock, and you see kind of Ivy getting that momentum going forward. And just when she's putting her in that submission, Tiffany goes out of the ring, takes a breather. but it's mostly a lot of Ivy. And I was wondering, I was like, how that was gonna play out in this match particularly, because I would have made it more like a back and forth, more equal in that sense of it. But I did like the match in itself. I like the ending. I love Ivy coming out with a crease shirt, and then she's holding it, of like, I missed the guys, but and then I forgot what move she did. That was like a Brutus thing. They're like, oh, look at her, like, pay homage to Brutus.
The rolling thing
Yeah,
where she has like the got the person on the shoulder and she
yeah.
rolled and did the thing. Yeah.
And I like how they even mentioned it on commentary too. So I like the little bits and pieces of her, like, showing their connection to them, even though they're not there anymore. But I love seeing that, like, that part of, like, she will kind of carry them with her during this match, and she's holding the shirt on during her entrance and in the match in itself. But I like the match, so I just didn't like that it was a lot of Ivy and not a lot of Tiffany. But again, I love Ivy's performance. I feel like we don't get to see this Ivy quite often, so I'm glad we were able to see it tonight, though.
Yeah, I liked how we got to see a lot of Ivy Nile showcased. And more importantly, we saw the difference between Cora Jade and Tiffany Stratton. They've been in NXT for roughly the same amount of time. They've been on TV for roughly the same amount of time. I think Cora's been on TV longer than Tiffany Stratton has, because I think Tiffany had a much longer vignette period where she was going to debut well before, you know what I'm saying? Like there was a lot of
Yeah.
coming soon, Tiffany Stratton, Daddy's Little Rich Girl type stuff.
Yeah.
But you can see the difference in the in ring action, whereas Tiffany's character is 1,000% nailed down. She knows exactly who she is, and she's carrying this match. Like her and Ivy work so well together that
Mhm.
Ivy can take 95% of this match, but you still believe that when Tiffany switches in on a dime, that she's good enough to
Mhm.
just do three moves and win.
Yeah.
I love that. The way that she got out of that submission that Ivy has, that behind the back sleeper submission.
Mhm.
Fantastic get out by Tiffany Stratton. Like just really, really great stuff.
Mhm.
And I also like that being the kind of last straw for Ivy Nile,
Yeah.
being a submission. Because the entire time this crowd is chanting, mostly that large Chase U section. By the way, did you notice how big the Chase U section has gotten now? Remember
Yep.
how we used to say in another place in another
Mhm.
time how small it was, and we were said, oh, they're
Mhm.
going to add people slowly but surely. And now you've
Mhm.
got like that whole right side, like more than two rows up, full of performance center recruits in
Mhm.
Chase U jerseys. It's really fun to see. Um, Post match, Tiffany gets on the mic and she addresses the chants, the "you tapped out" chants. And as my mother said, "Oh, can somebody shut that whining bitch up?" And I laughed because it's great, because that's exactly who she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be a whining, crying, conniving, like annoying, stereotypical blonde girl. That's exactly who she's supposed to be. And she's
Yeah.
portraying that character to a T. She's doing
Yeah.
exactly what she needs to do
Mhm.
to get her character over. This transitions backstage with Tia Hale talking to Andre Chase about the Kimura lock, and Duke comes in and says, "Can you hear them chanting? You tapped out." It's gotten Tiffany
Mhm.
all afluster. Our uncrowned champion, which just means she's not the champion,
Yeah.
has really got this crowd going. And Andre says, "Well, it's not over between you and her. It's not a one and done thing. We're going to get you a rematch based on the way that thing ended." And they start chanting rematch, and of course, because every wrestling crowd in the world loves a good chant, they started chanting rematch because they're
Mhm.
sheep and they don't understand that Tia Hale doesn't deserve another rematch because she's awful and I hate her. And Tiffany should be spending her time on competent wrestlers who can do things like wrestling Ivy Nile again, or wrestling Blair Davenport, or anybody other than Tia Hale. Hell, she could wrestle Kalani Jordan like she did on the house show circuit last week. I don't
Mhm.
care. Anybody but Tia Hale.
Yeah, I love another thing about this match too. It's just like, I like how, like you mentioned, that the last straw before Tiffany turns it around is the submission, which is
Yep.
exactly what took her down in the original match. And thinking back, I was like, did her gear give you like Barbie vibes? Because I feel like it did.
Everything about
It's a nice
Tiffany Stratton.
touch. I
Everything
know,
about
but
Tiffany
particularly
Stratton.
tonight, tonight I feel like the gear itself, I give me like Barbie vibes. So I was like, I see you, Tiffany.
I was really surprised WWE chose to send Liv Morgan to the Barbie premiere
Yeah.
as opposed to Tiffany Stratton. Like, I get Liv Morgan's a bigger name. I get all of that. But I really feel like it would have been a good spot to put Tiff, because I feel like that just would have put Tiffany Stratton over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can't say, oh, it's because she has a championship. Well, so does Tiffany Stratton. Like, there's no reason you can't put Tiffany Stratton on the paper. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just wish it had been Tiffany, because I feel like that fits the Barbie mold fits Tiffany a lot more than it fits Liv.
Yeah.
Um, take that however you'd like. That the Barbie mold fits Tiffany Stratton. We get an update on Noam Dar that there is no Supernova sessions tonight. He refused to come to the show. He is pining for his cup. There was a really, really long tweet by somebody. I think it was Lash Legend or something. I didn't read it. Like on the Hulu broadcast, they didn't
Yeah.
really show it. But like, there's a picture of Noam in the middle, and there's like no Supernova sessions. I missed my thing. And there's this massively like long tweet on one side, and a
I
bunch of
know hers was on the right hand side on the top right, but I didn't read it though. I just saw her picture.
yeah. But we get that. We get Blair Davenport backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell. And she says that this new NXT women's division is for grown ass women. Nice shout out to the Grown Ass Women podcast, which you can catch on YouTube and all kinds of other places. Edited by the wonderful Ella J, hosted by Mickey James, SoCal Val, and
Lisa Marie.
I was going to say Lisa Marie or Victoria for those WWE fans, or Tara for the TNA people. I figured I'd throw a shout out for them because NXT did it, so you might as well shout them out.
Yeah, I thought the same thing when I was like, I would have clipped this and we used it as a promo for God TV.
I did. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
She says it's not a division for little girls. Girls like Roxanne don't beat me anymore. And if she comes at me again, I'll leave her right where I left Nikita, Soul, and Wendy. I have a feeling one of them is coming back soon.
I think it's either Nikita or Wendy.
Well, yeah, because Soul's apparently out for a long time.
Yeah. Also supposed to be out for almost a year, I believe it was.
Yeah. And Nikita should be back anytime now. She's been training. I've seen workout videos, so I assume she's getting back soon.
No, we know you have. Sure.
I always watch Nikita's training videos. Always. We get Stacks versus Joe Coffey. And about a quarter away through this match, all of a sudden, I missed it because I wasn't paying attention. I was taking notes.
Yeah, me neither. I saw it later on Twitter. The call?
I saw the call. What prompted the call was Stacks supposed to lay down at one point for Joe Coffey? Is that what was supposed to happen?
Yeah, because based on it, he was supposed to lay down and he didn't. And then Joe's reaction is like, he's like surprised and looking at him like, oh, we had a handshake deal.
Yeah.
And then Wolfgang is about like getting in the ring and he's like, what the hell is going on? This is not kind of like the plan that we had. And then you see Stacks smiling and he goes to a corner. He goes, I ain't no snitch. Yeah. And then I didn't hear the call. I saw it later on Twitter as I was getting ready. And I like how they're like, wait, we have Tony D like here on the phone. We'll patch him in. And then I like how he's like, ha ha ha, you fell for the trap, and like that evil laugh he kind of has. And he's like, you fell for it. Did you really think he was gonna do that? And I was like, they took the bait. It was so funny hearing that, especially when they're like, oh, did you accept the charges for the call? And I forgot the name of the place. It was perfect though.
It was great. I love this. Yeah. I'm always down for a good swerve, bro. As Vince Russo would say, a good swerve is always nice. Again, I felt like it was a bit forced, this whole Stacks turning heel. It always felt a bit forced that all of a sudden, in the midst of a tag team program with Tony D'Angelo, that he would just randomly turn heel. Like, it just didn't feel right. And now we know why. Because it wasn't a heel turn. It was all a setup. It was great. Honestly, this was a fun match. Bronco, Nima, and Lucien Prince come out again. And this time they're eye to eye with Gallus, the NXT Tag Team Champions. And I'm like, are they bigger than Gallus?
I think so.
They looked like they were probably about eye to eye with Gallus. They're big boys. Seeing them in person, I was surprised at how big they were.
Plus, I love my Eddie Guerrero kind of spot. You know, I'm an Eddie Guerrero person through and through. So being able to see Stacks, I don't know if it was, huh? Yeah,
So
my shirt, my LWO shirt. Um, but no, having him, take the weapon and use it upon Joe, and then throw it at Wolfgang, and then coming down and falling flat on the canvas, and then the referee takes Wolfgang and kicks him out. I was like, I love it. I love it so much. The timing was just perfectly done. I love
yeah,
that ending though.
my things is Stacks uses a tire iron, pulls an Eddie G, and then Gallus gets kicked out and Stack gets the win. Yeah,
Yeah.
simple as can be. It was great. The match was exactly what it needed to be. It was. I'm surprised I'm going to say this. It was the best match of the night. You had former world champions and former NXT North American champions and a great tag match to end the show. But this was my match of the night by far and away.
Yeah,
The,
it was a
the,
lot more
tag,
fun.
the tag match wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
The match between Ilja and Bron wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. This match over delivered in what a lot of the show under delivered. This match over delivered the swerve, everything that went into it. Stacks is getting better and better. Dar Amazing says it. Stacks getting W's. Yeah,
Yes.
Stacks is great. I tried to find him on Twitter, but I couldn't figure out what his fucking Twitter handle was, so I couldn't tag him.
Isn't it? I think it's the Channing one. Like I
Yeah,
forgot.
I tried Channing, and all I could find was Channing Tatum. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's the right one.
No.
Also, can we talk about Stacks' attire here? So I messaged now. Ash is gonna say I stole her idea here, and I didn't. Um, I messaged Astrid. I'm like, why is Stacks? This is before the turn. I'm like, it was immediately after the match started. I'm like, why is Stacks in Gallus green? That feels weird. I then closed Slack. I've not been getting my notifications for Slack, so I didn't see that she had responded. And I immediately went to Twitter and I go, why is Stacks wearing old Spirit Squad gear? So I tweet that, and a couple minutes later, I get a notification on Twitter where Ash is like, I just said that. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I didn't see it.
You're right. Where is
Ash,
it? Like, where is it?
Astrid trying
Where
to
is
take
it?
credit. Astrid trying to take credit for all of my ideas and all of my jokes.
Yeah, right.
It's kind
You
of
said,
annoying.
why is Stacks in Gallus green? And I said, a minute later, almost reminds me of the Spear Squad.
Yeah. But I didn't see that because I closed the app
And
on my
then,
phone
and
and didn't
then
get a
at
notification.
9:33, I said, I can't with you. And you go, what? And I'm like, your tweet. So 3 minute or 3-4 minute gap in there.
Yeah. Because I
No.
in that gap where I didn't see it, I was in the process of trying to find out what Channing Tax Lorenzo's fucking Twitter handle is. Because it's
I
not
found it for
Channing
you, by the
Lorenzo,
way.
and it's not Channing Stacks, and it's not
It's
Stacks.
Channing WWE. There you go. Channing underscore WWE.
Kenny,
Oh my
Johnny,
God.
Stacks, Nikki, Mikey.
I legit thought of that in my mind when when I sent you the message. Thank you, they're amazing. That was exactly what I thought.
By the way, can we just talk about taking Stacks out and putting in the other guys? That the only one of these to do anything is Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Like
Ziggy.
I just can't believe that in that group of 5 male cheerleaders, only one did
Only
anything.
one survived.
Now, to be fair, one of them didn't do very well surviving when he was with Mickey James, and all of a sudden Mickey James decided that John Cena was a nicer option at the time.
And don't
If you
blame her.
believe the rumors, if you
Don't blame
believe the rumors, rumor and innuendo. I'm just saying.
I still don't blame her. Rumor or
Well,
not.
no, I mean, if you're going to be dealing with male cheerleader John Cena, I mean, it's not really an option.
No, this hand goes up more lower and then this one goes higher.
By the way, what is it with John Cena deciding to take all of the Spirit Squad's ex-girlfriends? I'm just saying. Think about it. It's not the first time.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
I just
Is
never
there
thought this was gonna happen tonight.
is there not another Spirit Squad member who John Cena might have had a proposal to at WrestleMania with one of their exes? Just
Yep.
saying. Remember when the Spirit Squad, some of the Spirit Squad,
Nobody
yes,
has
when
memory
some
of
of
that.
the when all the three only ones that were still in the professional wrestling business one of which couldn't get a job anywhere because he crossed John Cena. Yeah. Yeah. I believe that was Kenny, Nikki, and Mikey. Um, and Mikey was the best of them, like obviously without Dolph, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they were aligned with the Miz, if I remember correctly. Wow, I never thought we'd be talking this much about the Spirit Squad. Good
Yeah,
thing I
those
know
are
a
great
lot about the
times.
Spirit Squad, huh?
Yeah.
We then get a promo for next week. We get Los Lotharios versus Nathan and Dragon Lee next week. We get Dirty Dom versus Wesley, I'm assuming, for next week. It wasn't announced,
Wait,
but I'm
which
going
one?
to Dom versus Wes.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't announced that is official,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think we're
We
getting
got
it.
a graphic later.
Oh, did we get a
Um,
graphic later? Okay.
yeah, they put Tony D Homecoming, Dom versus Wes, and then Gigi and Kiana, and then Dragon and Nathan versus Los Lotharios.
Which, by the way, I can't wait for that tag match. That's going to be bang tag match.
Yeah.
It's been way too long since I've seen Los Lotharios on my TV screen. And much like NXT, this episode is pretty much over before you know it. Because we're in the main event. And this tag match was.
No, we're not.
What else did we have? I have no other notes.
First, you had Ivy with the schism. I know you don't care about it, but still, I like that part of like having Gacy come in and is like, look, she's the last one left of the diamond mine, and teasing her for it, and then kind of telling us like, oh, you can join the schism, and even Ava tells her there's always room for more, and they have a group of people with the yellow masks on like behind them, and as they're leaving, there's two of them that kind of stick a little bit behind, and they look exactly like Julius and Brutus. So I was like, oh, so this is where they're going with this. Let's see what happens next. Um, but after that is when we got Julissa and Valentina. They get interviewed about like Noam Dar not being able to do the Supernova sessions, and then I forgot what wording they used like about him not being able to do it. And Los Otarios come in, they invite the girls to like, oh, let's put a smile on those faces. And then Dragon Lee and Nathan arrive, and they're like, so what's going on? They're like, like nothing's going on. So they just leave right after that, which is what causes that advertisement for the match next week.
I'll be honest, I didn't see any of that. I saw the I
Yeah.
saw the Ivy Nile schism thing, and I stopped paying attention, and then I missed everything else.
Well, there you go.
Speaking of people paying attention, Von Pelt just subscribed to my Twitch, so thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. Thank you for using your Twitch Prime. For those of you who aren't followed, you can go ahead and follow me on twitch.tv/edfries, and you can go ahead and follow there for free. Yeah, and then we get the main event, and the main event was okay. It was pretty good. I really hope that Judgment Day doesn't have another backstage meltdown argument with more talent after last night on Raw, because this was another clunky, kind of good, kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't love the finish. I liked it. It was okay. I understood it, but I didn't love the finish. Mostly because it meant Melo gets pinned again, which isn't always the best thing.
Yeah.
But no. Dom tries to use a chair, to which Rhea goes ahead and gives the money in the bank to Damian Priest. Damian Priest goes to hit Melo with the money in the bank briefcase. Ilja Dragunov comes out and grabs the briefcase out of his hands, which made a whole lot of sense because Ilja is a stand-up guy and he doesn't want to see Melo get beat down. And then Melo tries to run at Damian, but Damian moves, and we go ahead and hit Ilja. And then Ilja hits Melo with the briefcase. South of Heaven chokeslam. We hit the double foot stomp for the 1, 2, 3, and that's the end of the match. Yeah, it was all right.
No. I wish there was more to this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like the most memorable part was the ending that you just mentioned, like, those parts of like, and then the crucifix onto Trick on the commentaries. It was so Trick is out, and it's basically Carmella versus Judgment Day up until Dragunov arrives to like, let's put help, quote unquote, right? But it makes sense for him to come and do that after winning the match. And I was like, we do need some kind of foundation for his feud with Carmelo. So this makes sense for him to be out there now. I wasn't a fan of Carmelo getting pinned. I thought Trick was gonna get pinned, if anything. But
I mean,
yeah,
what other reason is Trick in this match for other than to get pinned? I mean, let's be honest.
so when Carmelo got pinned, I was like, wow, that's not how I expected the show to end with the champion getting pinned.
It made sense. They would have had a nice little thing where they have Melo arguing with Ilja.
Mm-hmm.
about Ilya's being like, I was trying to help. And Melo's like, stay out of my business. And you have Judgment Day posing. And that's the end of the show. And you know what? I didn't need a rogue energy. But if you need a rogue energy, make sure that you go to rogueenergy.com or scan that QR code just below Astrid and use the promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off your order.
Okay.
Again, you can go to rogueenergy.com and use OLEPODS to get 10% off your order. They're a gracious sponsor of this show, so we want to make sure we go ahead and tell you all about it. Speaking of telling you all about it and everything else hearing at Ole, here's a video to tell you what's coming up with our local establishment this week. So if you want to find our local establishment and any of those great, wonderful shows, you can go to all the links here on TikTok, on Kick, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Instagram, all the fun places to go. I think we have a Threads now.
Yeah.
All kinds of great places to find our local establishment. But if we want to find you, Astrid, where do we find you this week?
We got more places to add now. So we got Instagram and Threads is Astrid Pizarro 20. And then Twitter and Blue Sky Astrid Pizarro as well. You can find me again on my YouTube channel, if anything, with my past episode of Astrid Ass and Ladies Fashion Showcase, which, by the way, we didn't mention it tonight. I almost forgot. For my wrestling media anniversary, Ed is gonna be interviewing me for Astrid Ass. So if you haven't, you can submit your questions. You can either submit it to him or to me. Better if you do him, so I don't get to see it and I'm not prepared ahead of time, which is terrifying. But yeah, if you haven't, you can submit your questions for the anniversary. So we'll be recording that sometime soon. So it'll be pre-recorded, though. That'll be the only thing. It will not be live. But yeah, really excited to do that this month because it's my second wrestling media anniversary. Yay!
Astrid's terrified of letting me have a live microphone and asking her questions. So we've agreed to do this with a
Liar. Liar.
I'm fine doing this live if you think you can handle the questions
did
live.
you want pre-recorded or live? And you said pre-recorded. I gave you the option.
Because I don't want you to feel out of place with any of my questions, and this way you can edit the ones you don't like. You can find me at Twitter at edfries12584. I don't have any of the other junk. You don't need to worry about that. And you can find me on Twitch at edfries2002. I don't need no threads. I don't need no blue skies. I don't need none of that. Give me the gray sky. Give me the clouds, the thunder. You know, I could be like Baron Corbin. I bring the thunder. I bring the darkness. I don't need no blue sky. On top of finding me here every Tuesday with Astrid Pizarro, you can find me this Wednesday. Tomorrow night, we are going live head-to-head against AEW Dynamite. Me and Andre are going to be going head-to-head as we talk all things MCU Secret Invasion Episode 4. Things are getting big. Things are getting creepy. We got the word Super Scrolls last week. All kinds of fun stuff coming up. So make sure you check in this week to see what else happens, who's with what, who's married to a Skrull, who's not married to a Skrull, who is a Skrull, who isn't a Skrull. Who the hell knows? We'll have to find out tomorrow. There's all kinds of great stuff on there. And then again, every Tuesday, you find me right here with Astrid Pizarro. You're also going to find me and Astrid Pizarro doing our monthly, bi-monthly, whenever we feel like recording them, episodes of Talking Takeover coming soon. I've made portions of a video for the introduction. I need to now make a logo and an overlay. I'm getting there. But once all those things are done, we're going to go ahead and start recording wonderful episodes where we go back and we talk all things takeover. We're not talking about any random takeover. We're talking all of the takeovers, going all the way back to NXT pre-takeover Arrival, where we're going to have the main event being a ladder match between Adrian Neville, before he was a bastard, before he was the man that gravity forgot in Vince's Mighty Mouse. He was the NXT soon-to-be champion as he took on Bo Dallas in the height of the Bo Leave movement. And if you haven't seen some of these, it's great. We're going to go back and watch all of the NXT takeovers. Now, the next one would be the NXT takeover and everything else that was named takeover. We're going to go back and watch them. We're going to be able to see the rise of Sami Zayn, the debut of Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. So many fantastic matches. We didn't even get into the height of the tag team division, where we start seeing things like the Revival and
Mechanics.
the Iconics, all
No, the
kinds of
mechanics.
the mechanics. Yes, the mechanics. Well, I don't think we're seeing the mechanics on a takeover. We do end up seeing the Revival on there.
Yeah.
Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. Why can I not remember their name? American Alpha. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of great stuff coming up on Talking Takeover that you can see somewhere, sometime soon. We are going to go ahead. Wait, did Ashley tell me to do? No.
I was going to say, my name is Espada. I don't know who that is.
He has all. We're not talking about that. Not talking about that here. But for me, OLED, for that one, the Astrid Pizarro, this has been our quickest taking over ever.
Yeah.
We're going to actually get sleep tonight. Back later, y'all. Bye.